I'm being blinded by the $8 Wyze bulb sitting on my left, so we better get started with this review. Hello automators, thanks for tuning in again. I'm Brian with Automate Your Life, and today I'm going to take the frustration out of automation by telling you whether or not you want to head down this lighting path with Wyze. So let's get into the review. What is it? Well, that's pretty easy to answer. It is intended to be an 800 lumens, Wi-Fi enabled, voice controllable smart bulb from Wyze here. Now, what can it do? Well, that's where things start to get interesting with this little bulb. It is temperature controlled, so it can go from a very, very bright white color all the way down to those more yellow bulbs that you were used to growing up with as a kid. Now, it's also dimmable all the way from 1% to 100%, although the lumens don't quite match up with that, but it does that very well as well. Now, again, it's Wi-Fi controlled and it integrates with the Wyze application, which means you can control it by their shortcuts and you can just control it by the app there. It's also fully integratable with both Amazon's voice assistant and Google's voice assistant and the If This Then That application, which gives you access to control these bulbs with almost any platform out there today. Now, we should talk about what those Wyze shortcuts give you access to, because they do give you quite a bit that actually is harder to find than you think with some of the smart bulbs out there. The first thing I did right away as soon as I got the bulbs installed in my bathroom here was to set up a shortcut that just turned them off. If any one of them had been on for 10 minutes, I wanted them all to turn off in that bathroom. And so that means I don't have to worry about my child or anyone leaving on those lights. They will just turn off for me naturally. So that was the first thing I did, but these shortcuts also gives you access to the Wyze Sense system and the Wyze cameras to trigger automation for lighting off of those different devices. My likes range from the fantastic colors of these bulbs and the high lumen output. They are really bright, and they are brighter per lots of testing that has gone on than other 800 lumens bulbs. So, you know, they're actually brighter and the colors make them a very pretty bulb. I know they're not a color bulb, but the whites are brilliant coming out of these bulbs. The ability to control through Wyze Sense sensors, it makes this a well thought out system when you're just talking about automating your home within the Wyze application, which is clearly what Wyze would like you to do. They've still given us the access for voice control, and through If This Then That, I really like that I can go ahead and create control methods or elements through hubs like SmartThings and other devices that I have in my smart home. Even after adding all of these bulbs, I really like the Wyze application still. So the fact that I can group the bulbs into one group when I've added multiple to the same room really helps the layout of the application. So overall, the Wyze bulbs have been great when they've been connected and working. But speaking of connectivity, we have to talk about some of that here with these Wi-Fi bulbs. During setup, when I set up those three bulbs, and I've gone through this process multiple times now because of some of these connectivity issues, all three bulbs took 150 seconds. So the timer there for making a connection to the bulbs is 150 seconds. All three I had to wait 150 seconds and then hit the retry button, and then they paired instantly and went on my Wi-Fi network. Now, unfortunately, what happened right after that is there's a delay when you turn on these bulbs. From the time you hit the switch or the time you ask them to turn on, they take a little delay. So my child actually went into our bathroom where normally we use a light switch, and he started hitting the switch and they wouldn't come on, or they weren't coming on fast enough for his little mind, and click, 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 factory reset. And again, 150 seconds times 3. So I was starting to get a little bit frustrated right away. Now, the next thing that happened is I had a power outage and all three bulbs became disconnected and I had to set them up again. So, you know, each time I'm waiting this time, and for an automator, it's a lifetime. So, other users, as you go and you read what's happening on Wyze's forums and in the Wyze communities, people are struggling with these devices. Now, after setting up my shortcuts, I kind of realized that there wasn't a lot of external connectivity that I was going to use. I feel a little bit constrained inside using the shortcuts inside the Wyze application. The voice control is nice, but the reason I started to feel constrained was what I consider to be the biggest problem, and it just kind of contributed to this. The biggest problem is, and when you read the manual, this becomes very apparent, these bulbs have to be in a very specific situation to be successful. So I talked about your router. It has to be in BGN mode. It can't just be in N mode only, or they will not connect and they will not work. So you have to have that, number one. Number two, you also have to make sure that they are in an open situation. So you can't put them in a fully enclosed fixture, and they even state that you can't put them into a narrow fixture or a mostly enclosed fixture because they will overheat, is essentially what's being said. Now, that means that in a lot of households, you're going to have to put these into a lamp. Now, I don't know about how many lamps you have, but I don't have 20 lamps in my house, and so a whole home lighting solution? Well, no, this can't be. So do these $8 US smart bulbs get Automate Your Life seal of approval? Well, the answer is yes, but you have to be in a certain situation. Number one, you're not going to want to be a HomeKit person because there's no integration there. SmartThings has connectivity, or the other home automation hubs have connectivity if they connect through if this then that. Your voice assistants here do have full control of the bulb, so that's very nice. If you already have a Wyze Cam and the Wyze Sense, well, you can trigger a lot of automation obviously with those devices, and I think that's the best way to utilize these devices, or in the simple automation way of turning those bulbs on and off automatically based off of some kind of timing component. So the other part of the situation is what I talked about. They have to be in an open air environment essentially. They can't be enclosed. And you also have to make sure that your router can do that mixed mode. So most routers can. I don't think you really have to worry about that before you go out and buy an $8 bulb. And that's ultimately what this comes down to. This is an $8 smart Wi-Fi controllable bulb that really beats everything else on the market in terms of pricing, or most of your main choices out on the market right now. They look great, they work relatively well, and I truly believe the connectivity issues will get resolved here over time from Wyze. So yes, they get our seal of approval, and if you'd like some more ideas for how to utilize these bulbs with Wyze Sense, well, I have a whole series of videos for using Wyze Sense. You can see these other situations that people are putting those devices into, and therefore what situation you might want to use your Wyze bulbs in. So go watch a couple of those videos. The playlist is on screen right now. Otherwise, guys, don't hate, automate.